100 shirts for only $395. 20 shirts for only $100. Greenleaf Printing and Designs has stupendous signage, printed and embroidered apparel, and promotional products for you. They're at 5526 Burkhart Road in Dayton and on the web at greenleafprinting.com.
District. Every time we've added another housing product downtown, it's at 90-95% occupancy. It fills a niche that we're lacking here. So if I were going to make a suggestion here, I'd make a suggestion that you don't do a 21st century version of a two-story detached Victorian single-family home, because we've got the market on that.
I think that's a common story to make people who still want to leave their neighborhood, but they're forced to leave their home. So having different options in the same neighborhood is great. I'm going to go here first, but I start coming yet. Right yet.
I think I agree for the most part with the concept that everybody's feeling on concept A, and especially as well as the concept B, the south corner. But I also like where it's added in B, the only part I like in B, is where it's added the single family home. There's just over here building that in there. I think that would be nice to make that little corner space really nice and welcome when you're coming around the corner. My concern with A, I know we all recognize the value and importance of Park Boulevard, the very wide and the pathways and stuff. But I think what makes Park Boulevard so unique and what makes it historic integrity is that it's aligned with the, what we want in our still now nicest, biggest homes in our neighborhood. It really, you can see that this is the important part. This is like a really nice part where everybody walks their dogs, everybody gets up and stuff like that. I would hesitate to replicate that. Think about a little bit more I think Park is the historic entrance of the historic part of the neighborhood, and since this is such a huge part of this, this is a huge site, and it's all going to be developed at once in the 21st century. I think it could be a nice, counterbalance, but it doesn't take away from Park.
So far away from, but it's not like you're sitting side by side or something, totally from a different area. People from a park have no idea that it's going to be together.
And I think, that makes it beautiful, because right now it really feels like you're driving into the back of South Park. And it shouldn't be if that becomes the street that's so public.
People don't realize that Alberta is part of South Park, and by God, we are.
You're here.
Taking the housing kind of a little bit further, I just recently, my husband and I renovated lots of commercially on Wayne Avenue, and we got about 75 responses to our advertising, and every single person who saw it wanted it. We leased it out for 24 hours. There's a huge demand among younger people for fixable upper story lots, and looking at the housing component, it was a way to provide ground floor, empty nester friendly, and upper floor would be geared towards log housing for younger people or empty nesters who wanted a log type living. That way you could increase the density without taking more land and provide kind of a unique housing alternative and making them rentals, because it seems like the old American dream of owning your own home is kind of gone by the wayside. I think, as Teresa said, we cannot keep up with the demand for upscale rentals in South Park. We are turning away dozens of people, and if we had a product that new and right passion perspective. These are people coming in from other cities. These are our young people. I have someone from Beaver Creek who wants to rent from me because he wants to ride his bike to work. That's why he wants to come to South Park. So I think that we can do do a housing product that could attract both demographics and one children.
And I think the single family homes on the bottom and the lots on the top, people are really interested in sustainable living. And the community garden doesn't need to go away, it needs to become bigger, and my single family homes would include a place for the garden and do something.
The rental issue, again, I don't know that bringing back all rental properties, that would be the way to go. I live across the rental property, and we use rental leases. Is that correct? So we have issues with rooming houses and the sort of clientele that shops for apartments and everything by weekend by month. So if we can create some parameters or some guidelines, so we actually have, you know, decent folks moving in the neighborhood, that's one thing, but if we're going to end up with more boarding houses and rooming houses, then I think we need to steer clear. Certainly, you know, whatever we decide to do long term, it would be market rate. Yes, Karen.
This part's name.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. This part's not officially the name. This was forever ago when we started doing this. It's kind of between Midtown and South Park, and it's meshed them together. So I know you have a name, so.
It's easier to say this part, the queen.
I guess one last jump off the meeting, but you know, right up the street, it's close enough to sewer drinking, it's Chipotle and all that kind of stuff. And you have retail along Warren, that's something fantastic. You know, you can't tell what anybody's going to rent a hardware store. First of all, the garden is about how we use screwdrivers, I got no home. So the garden is where I can put a screwdriver in the hardware store. Maybe not, that's my problem. But a hardware store, and maybe a restaurant, and maybe something else, an actual retail shop or something to, you know, not only something necessarily, as you mentioned, Mark mentioned, places to close at 5 o'clock because there's just people wandering around. Maybe I have a mixed use, that's the term, and maybe a doctor's office and all that. It's definitely a store that is maybe something that's serving a purpose for the neighborhood. Because I think anybody can tell you our only option is to close the hand into the program, will be fine, that's standing next. So if some entrepreneur says, well, let me look at that a little bit here, that would be great, facing out towards the street here.
Well, we're right at 11 o'clock. I know I don't want to cut anything short, but are there any more comments before we go into the next one?
I just wanted to chime in here because there is a long-term transportation enhancement and improvement along these corridors of the aerospace hub, and that can only be implemented incrementally over time. The Brown Street project, for example, we're going to the road diet on Brown Street south of Wyoming, which will be under construction next year. The city continues to try to compete at the state level for ODOT funds for doing transportation enhancement along Warren, and one of the conversations here is a TE project would bury the overhead utilities so that you could actually build an urban forest on both sides of the street. There is a TE transportation enhancement project to do some, I'm going to call it enhanced lighting under 35 because it's particularly unattractive. And that probably is 2012 or 2013. And there is a conversation about this whole notion about walkability along Patterson, Jefferson, Warren, and Brown Street to create, to really encourage walkability and bikeability between the University of Dayton and Riverscape. And maybe part of that component, there's a Patterson Boulevard project that will be underway next year to do the 3 blocks between 3rd Street to Oregon and bring that ornamental lighting down to at least 5th Street. And we've had some conversations about we should probably continue that under 35 down Warren, so there's some visual cues here to really strengthen that connection between downtown and the University of Dayton. So I just wanted to throw that out there, but that, you asked about timeline on the development of the site. A lot of the infrastructure stuff you have to plan 5 to 8 years in advance, and we're lining up the pieces here, but it could take another 10 years to do that particular piece of it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go into. Here's what I'm going to ask. Here are the messages that I heard tonight. So let me know if I missed something. They give everything. In terms of housing, I heard that, first of all, it's not replicate existing housing that we have. If we do something, let's do something that's initial-oriented. Let's do something that's attractive to empty nesters and young people, possibly greenhouses. I also heard sustainable living. I heard parameters for rental guidelines, specifically rental. I heard there might be an opportunity for loft housing, primarily on the upper floors. Also heard recommendations that in concept B, where we have providing municipal housing on Victory, that might be a good idea to carry back to concept A. We're all contemplating why this is heard by everybody. In terms of green space, I heard green space is very important. More green space is going to be I heard let's make sure the green space is purpose, active. Just green space by itself probably a good direction to go. Community gardens is something that's going to feel very strong about. With some of the common areas of green space, I have a recommendation that maintenance and private security are concerned. That should be addressed with the RFP. In terms of the buffer area, I heard that it's very important that there be a good buffer between the commercial and the residential, particularly on Alberta. I heard a recommendation to do a deconstruction so that that's maintaining the property themselves. I also heard recommendations for wider streetscape or tree lawn on Orange Street in 1015 will be very utilities. In terms of commercial space, I heard that there seems to be a need in this area for more professional space or more commercial space. The recommendation for smaller technology companies in this space. Again, don't repeat what we're doing down Brown Street. Just do something different. Recommendation for retail uses that support the neighborhood obviously specifically. In terms of traffic, we see a lot of concerns still about traffic into the neighborhood. Recommendation about the connection between Burns and Buckeye, that might be a light way, not the traffic area. And I think, good question, I think I heard support from the boulevard on Burns. Yeah. Did I miss any big concept?
Very good. It's kind of cool.
Okay, so I think what we're going to do from here, we're going to take this information, try to include much of the in the RFP, which as Katie mentioned, that will go out by the end of fall. And we want to keep all of you informed of the progress. So if you signed in with your email address, we'll try to provide appropriate updates.
And I will take Steve's notes, write those up, we'll send them out to you next week or the end of this week. And if you missed something or if there's something you thought of, just put that, let me know. We'll incorporate it back in the notes.
We have business cards for everybody.
No, not yet. Okay. We'll let you know.
Can you send them out? You send us out?